Hey everybody, Rudy here from Take a Bath Productions. Today I'm going to show you how to store your generator either for short term or for long term. This is going to assure that your generator is going to start right up when you really need it. Now, even though this one is a Honda, these principles will work for most generators even if the configuration is a little bit different. Okay, so without further ado, let's dive right in. So let's talk about short-term storage real quick before we get into the nitty-gritty of how to drain everything. If it's going to sit for less than a month, you don't need to do anything at all. Anything for up to about 2 months, it needs to be stored with a full tank of fuel and fuel stabilizer in the fuel. I always take my equipment a step further and I use ethanol-free fuel and fuel stabilizer. This goes for all of your outdoor power equipment, not just a generator, but lawnmowers or whatever it is. I either store it completely full or completely empty. If it's not completely full, that air gap in the top of the tank can promote fuel deterioration. It can promote water in the fuel. Just depends on your humidity and stuff like that. Now the book says anything after about 2 months, you should drain the float bowl in the carburetor. I'm going to show you how to do that here in a minute. But you can leave fuel in the fuel tank for up to a year. I say if you're going to do anything over 2 months and you're draining the carburetor anyway, you might as well drain the whole system so you don't have to remember to go back later and drain the fuel tank and all the rest of it if you don't wind up using it. All right, so let's get into this thing real quick, okay? Okay, so my goal here is to get all the fuel out of the generator. I've got one end propped up because my fuel tank is on this side. If you've got a bigger generator with the gas cap in the middle, then just leave it flat. I've got a siphon right here with the little rattlesnake on the end of it, and I've got that ran down into a gas can, okay? So this works pretty good. It's not going to get it all out, but it's going to get most of it out. So all you got to do is put this on the one side and kind of all right, that's got all the big stuff out. And I'm just going to use a syringe to get the rest of it out. There shouldn't be very much in there. So once I get out as much as I possibly can, I just leave the gas cap off for a couple of days, and if there's anything left in there, it'll just evaporate. Okay, so I've got the side cover off of the engine right here. A lot of these little generators will have a side cover to keep the sound down. If you've got a bigger generator, then you're not going to have any of this, but you should have a carburetor drain screw. So we have a little fuel line coming off of the bottom of the carburetor that sticks out right here. All you got to do is pull that out and then stick the end of the hose into a container and open up the carburetor drain screw. Now I've got the generator tilted back a little bit because the carburetor drain screw is not quite at the bottom, it's more on the side. So let's go ahead and open that up. You can kind of shake it around a little bit to get the rest of that fuel out of there. Okay, so for right now, I'm going to close that back, and we're going to try to get the rest of the fuel out of the system. So this generator has a fuel pump located right here, and we want to try to get as much of that fuel out as we can. So I've taken the spark plug out, and what you want to do is turn the fuel on. Now your generator might not have a fuel pump, so it might be a little bit different, but try to get the fuel turned on, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to crank the generator over a few times to try to coerce the rest of the fuel and the fuel lines to go into the carburetor. All right, let's see if any more went into the bowl. Yep, sure did. Let's crank it a couple more times while we got it open. Nope, I don't see any more coming out. I think we got it. All right, so before we close up the screw on the carburetor, I'm going to give it one more shake and make sure we got it all. So while we got the spark plug out, what we want to do, I stuck a little hose inside the hole where the spark plug goes, and I'm going to put in approximately a teaspoon worth of oil right into the hole right there. Kind of distribute that around in the cylinder, and that'll keep everything nice and lubricated while it's sitting. That's probably good right there. Okay, so before we put the spark plug back, let's go ahead and crank the engine over a few times. Kind of circulate that oil around in there. That'll lubricate the cylinder walls and all that good stuff. And let's go ahead and put the boot back so we don't wonder why it doesn't start 6 months from now, because I'll forget. And last but not least, let's rotate the engine so that we feel the compression right there between the two bumps. You can feel it right there. It'll kind of bump and then stop, and then there's another bump. You want it to be in between the bumps. That'll close the valves, keep any moisture out of the cylinder. And if you've got a fuel shutoff, go ahead and shut that off, and just that's it. Now I would leave the gas cap off overnight to let any kind of residual vapors inside the gas tank evaporate. Okay, so that's about it. I hope you found this video helpful. Any questions, comment below. Please like and subscribe. Thanks for watching.